Episode number 1. You are listening to the More Than a Lawyer podcast with your host Janine Esbrand. I'm here to help lawyers and mums to thrive in their careers and motherhood. I share tips, strategies and inspirational conversation with awesome women to help you reduce the struggle in your juggle. Hello, I am so excited to welcome you to the first episode of the More Than a Lawyer podcast. My name is Janine Esbrand and I am the founder of Lightbox Coaching, where I provide life and career coaching for lawyer mums who want to build a career they love whilst raising babies. So, what's my background? I am also a corporate commercial lawyer with over 10 years experience working in the legal sector. I entered into the realm of motherhood 15 months ago when I had my gorgeous son, and now I know how hard it can be to try and navigate being a good lawyer whilst raising a family. So I've launched this podcast because I want to help other lawyers who are recognizing that being a lawyer is only one element of their identity. You are also a mother, a friend, a spouse, a partner, a daughter, a sister, and the list goes on with the number of hats that you wear. And in wearing all of those hats, people can get really overwhelmed, and I totally recognise that. And so I don't want you to have to deal with that alone. So I'll be showing up every Monday to share tips, strategies and inspiration for creating a really full and fulfilling lawyer mum life. Because being a mum and a lawyer can be tough. I am all about promoting work-life integration as opposed to work-life balance, because we all know that striving for that balance is kind of just chasing after the wind. You never really fully achieve the balance. You only have one life to live. So I want to help you to make sure that you're managing it in a way that allows you to do more of what you love and less of what you don't. So it's all about looking at the different elements of your life and working out how they can fit together in a way that works for you. So you'll be hearing from me, sharing some tips regularly and some strategies that I have implemented and that I've worked with clients to implement. And you'll also be hearing from some great inspiring women from different backgrounds that are able to share insight and guidance that you can apply to reduce the struggle in your juggle. So that's what the show is about, and now I'm going to move into the topic for today. So I really want to talk to you about how your background and your legal training has prepared you in some ways for motherhood, and how you can leverage some of the skills that you probably used in your day-to-day or you're currently using in your day-to-day, so that you can apply them to your mum journey and make life a little better for you in that area. Right, so the first thing I want to talk about is planning. So if you're a lawyer, it's likely that you're quite a planner. You planned out your career, you planned out where you wanted to go to law school and which firm you wanted to go to, and then you went into execution mode and you made it happen. You're probably the person that people go to help plan events and organise things because you're good at that. So you can do the same when it comes to motherhood. Of course, you don't you don't know what to expect completely if you're expecting your first child, but you can still plan in some ways and put a strategy in place that's going to set you up for success. So one of the things that I want you to think about is getting intentional about your support network. The people you have around you can make a massive difference to how successful you are in what you're doing and how calm you feel in your approach to it. So I would say really think about who is in your network now, who you would like to spend the most time with once you have the baby, or who you want to lean on now that you have the baby and you want them to get involved more so that you can be freed up to do other things. It's really good to plan ahead, because when you're in that moment where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, I can't cope with this, being able to just reach out and call that person is great, as opposed to waiting until that moment to think, oh, who can I speak to? So do that in advance. I joined the National Childbirth Trust classes, so NCT classes, when I was pregnant. Myself and my husband went along. We met 8 other couples who were all having babies around the same time, and they formed the basis of my mummy network in the early days. And it was awesome because you know what it's like. You have other friends and family members who have babies, but they may have gone way past the stage that you're at, and it's amazing how you end up forgetting things as you move to next phases. So when you say, oh, what age was your baby when they slept through the night, or when do they stop teething, people who have a 3 or 4 year old is going to say, I can't really remember. So it's not the same when you lean on other mothers who aren't at the same stage. But when you're able to call someone, or not really call, but if you're able to message someone at 3 a.m. and say, hey, my baby is awake again, is anyone else awake? It's just amazing when you get that feedback and you're sitting in the dark and you realize, okay, I'm not alone, there's other people going through this. It's invaluable having that network that you can rely on in that way. So I would absolutely urge you to make sure that you create one if you don't already have one, and just look around you and be open to opportunities to connect with other women. If you are struggling with that and you don't know where to reach out, and you don't really have people around you that are going through that first stage, the Lawyer Mums Network, which I've created, is a great place to start. It's a LinkedIn group of supportive, like-minded mamas like you who are there to share with one another, encourage one another in motherhood and in our careers. So head over to the group, go to lightboxcoaching.com/network and join in and get involved in the conversation, and I hope you can find some support there. Okay, so moving on to the next one. So I'm sharing 3 with you today, 3 different skills that you can implement. So the second one is project management. So you have probably worked on many projects in some shape or form, whichever discipline you work in as a lawyer, whether you are a corporate lawyer managing transactions or you're a litigator who's managing cases, you will have had to manage projects and project manage in different ways. So I want you to think about how you can implement those skills now that you're a mum, because there are so many projects that you're going to need to get involved in, and some of them you won't really think of them as projects, but they so are. So for example, leaving the house is a project in the early days. If someone says, can you meet me at 12 o'clock? You need to consider the time that you need to arrive at your destination, and then you need to allocate time to the following activities. You need to have a shower, feed yourself, dress and change the baby, feed the baby, pack your changing bag, then feed or change the baby one more time before leaving the house, then get into the car, find your way to your destination, and then once you get there, you're probably going to have to change the baby again because they might have pooped while you're on your way. And so all of those factors, when you're, pre-motherhood, you would just get up and go get yourself ready and leave the house. You won't have to think about those things as being part of a project, but when you're a mum, you absolutely do. So you need to think ahead. What can I do to make for a successful outcome in a way that's going to reduce my stress levels? And a few things that you can implement in this scenario would be to pack your changing bag the night before, to have a shower and get your baby's clothes ready during their nap time. Ask your hubby or your partner to put petrol in the car the day before, so you can avoid having to go to the petrol station and have that moment where you're thinking, do I take the baby inside with me? Do I leave the baby in the car? What's appropriate? Are they going to cry? How am I going to handle this? It's all too many questions, which could be avoided if you just make sure that the car has petrol before you leave. And the other thing is to give yourself a buffer. When you don't give yourself enough time to do something, you automatically add stress to the whole situation, and knowing that you have a baby means that you have to give yourself sometimes double the amount of time to get things done, but sometimes 20 minutes, half an hour will be sufficient buffer for you. So just plan ahead and factor in those contingencies, and you're gonna make life a lot less stressful. Okay, and the last thing we're going to talk about today is delegation. So you know the saying, if you want anything done, do it yourself, right? That's a popular saying. Well, that doesn't really work in the corporate world, because as you know, as you get busier and more senior, your time is better spent doing certain tasks, and it's more appropriate to delegate other tasks to someone who's more junior, because time is money. And the same goes for motherhood and caring for your baby. It might not translate in the same way, in that you don't think time is money, but there are some things that you can only do, such as breastfeeding your baby, but there's some things that other people can help with. So nappy changing, burping after a feed, organising laundry, cooking, shopping. So taking a step back and thinking about, what are the things that I really need to be doing in this phase at this point of my motherhood journey, and what are the things that I can delegate to other people, because you want to be really connecting with your baby, snuggles, hugs, feeding, all of that stuff, and the housework and the other things that need to happen to continue to run your family and your house, they can be delegated out. You don't want to bring in a babysitter to look after your baby so that you can clean and cook in the early stages of motherhood. You want to flip that around, and you want to spend the time with your baby, and you can get someone else to do those things. So when people offer to help, don't be a martyr. Just let them help you so that you can spend precious time getting to know your baby. I know when it was me, people came round and I felt like I was in host mode, but it got to a point where I was alright with the fact that the house would be a bit messy and there'll be dishes in the sink, because ultimately spending time with my baby and getting to know him was the most important thing in the early days, in those first 3-4 months. So yeah, giving yourself permission to just really be for a little while, which is hard, I know, when you're a busybody and a doer, and someone who's used to just getting things done. But yeah, give yourself some time. And there are just so many synergies between your life as a lawyer and your life as a mum, and we're going to be exploring all of those in the coming weeks, or not all, but a lot of those in the coming weeks in future episodes. So make sure that you subscribe so that you can be notified about the new episodes as and when they are released. And if you are in a place where you're struggling right now with a bit of overwhelm, where you're looking at your life as a lawyer and a mum, or a professional and a mum, and you're thinking, I don't really know how to do all this stuff, like I'm just overwhelmed by it all and I can't figure it out, I have a gift for you. Head over to lightboxcoaching.com for my free audio training, which includes 5 strategies to overcome overwhelm. You can get those, listen to those, and if you start implementing them as soon as possible, you're going to see how things can change for you. It's going to help you to shift your mindset around how you approach your tasks, and help you to feel less stressed and more calm as you approach your day-to-day. Okay, so we're coming to the end of today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review in iTunes so that more lawyer mums just like you can find the show and join the conversation. And in my next show, I just want to give you a little bit of an insight into what you can expect. I will be talking to an awesome career mum who has implemented some systems and strategies that will make running your lawyer mum life so much easier. So be sure to tune in to the next episode, because it's going to be great. So I just want to thank you for spending the time with me today. Thank you for joining me on the More Than a Lawyer podcast, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode. The More Than a Lawyer podcast features music from Awesound.